Hey guys, Preston here, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, or Pirates of the Caribbean. It depends on how you want to say it. I got one more review coming out after this. I thought I'd start doing reviews now because I've been going to the movies a lot more than I used to, so pretty much every time I see a new movie, I'm trying to do a review. This one's, I didn't have time to get a script to write some notes down this time, so I'm kind of just freeballing this one. I'll do spoiler talk. How I'm going to do this time, instead of two separate videos, I'm just going to say when I'm done with the actual review, and then we'll move to spoilers, and I'll give you 5 seconds to click off until you actually see the movie. But the movie's been out for a couple weeks now, so I'm hoping people watching have seen it already, although it is a review, so a lot of times maybe you haven't. Yes, so let's just get started. Wonder Woman reviews coming after this one. By the way, this is the next movie that I saw. I'll talk about that one later. But Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, I watched it. I think it was the day it came out. It was a semi-empty. It hasn't done. It's done fairly well. It's at 100 mil right now, I think. Obviously better than anything I could do. But I went with my sister, and I liked it. It was another Pirates movie. It's nothing crazy new from this series. They're not doing anything to reinvigorate or change much, so it's kind of depends on how you look at it. If you liked all the Pirates movies, you'll like this one. If you felt like you were getting tired of the Pirates movies, then you probably won't enjoy this one that much. But I am a fan of the Pirates movies, all of them, and so I was really pumped when this came out. When I heard about it coming out, I was like, I completely forgot about the other Pirates movies, so I spent 2 days rewatching the 4 of them, and even the lowest rated one, which is on Stranger Tides, I still found enjoyment out of. I'm not the most picky when it comes to movies, and so I think I've done one review, and it's Guardians, and I think I gave it an 8.7, I think, so I kind of got to judge my scores off that, and we'll get to that. But overall, I really liked it. It was a solid film. It brought back some old characters. If you saw from the trailer, Will has a small role. He said it himself. He has a small role in this. So there's a couple other characters. It's familiar faces. The villain in this one is probably one of the better villains in the series. I mean, because the first one wasn't really a central villain, I guess you could say, is Barbossa. Obviously, Davy Jones is good, but heck, Javier Bardem's character was it's great. He did a really good job. Captain Salazar, yeah, undead pirate, vengeance for Jack Sparrow, classic. Someone's trying to kill Jack Sparrow, right? And obviously, Jack isn't a main character in these movies. He's the most popular character, but he kind of just plays off what these other characters are going through. And in this case, it was I can't remember the name of the girl, but she's an astronomer in this, and then Henry, I think it's Henry Turner, yeah, Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann's son, who's trying to break the curse of Will, because if you remember at World's End, he stabbed Davy Jones' heart. Now he has to ride the Flying Dutchman. And so they set off on the quest to get that trident, because it's another thing where it's beneficial for all of them, where it'll get the undead Salazar off Jack. It will help Will return to sea. And the astronomer, I can't remember what her intentions are. You'll have to find out when you watch it. There is a twist involving the astronomer, and just some stuff like that. The humor, we'll just go to the humor now. The humor in this movie it's solid, I'd say. I feel like Jack took a little dip off. He's been gradually getting worse since the first one. The first one, obviously, is the best performance of Jack Sparrow there's been, and I don't really blame Johnny Depp. He's still done a good job, but I think it's the way he was written, because once again, it's another director. They haven't. The first 3 were the same director. After that, they've been switching out. So this time, new directors and some new writers too. The producers stay, but other than that, it's pretty much all different. And so it kind of started with Jack as I felt like Jack was more drunk. He felt like less of the Jack you knew, where you would think that he was still smart and could get away with stuff, because that's how Jack's character's always been, a mix of drunkenness and quirkiness, but you knew he actually knew what he was doing, and that's how he got out of so many situations. But towards the first half of the movie, you kind of just see him as this slob, and he has like lost it completely, you know. And that's, I guess, it's kind of fits with how the storytelling was going, but you don't really know that at first, and so it kind of like hurts, like drags you down a bit, because like, why is he being portrayed like this? But eventually he kind of gets it all back together towards the end when they're going after the trident of Poseidon and all that stuff. Last time for Guardians, I did different scores off everything, and then I did that total, and so I'm going to try to do that again. Soundtrack, I'm going to give a 10, because, man, I really love the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtracks. I always have. Then I gave the Guardians a 10 too, as theirs wasn't really, I guess, theirs was like a soundtrack, not really a score. There was more songs and stuff. This time it was the score. It was the dun 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 dun. You know the Pirates song that's in this one, and a lot of other stuff. The music fits the theme of that movie, and it did a good job. So that's a 10. The acting, I guess an 8. Yeah, it wasn't nothing like give that man an Oscar, but they did their jobs, and I wasn't ever like, wow, you're doing, like, why are you even here? Like, it's doing a terrible job at acting. All the people, like Barbosa always does, the guy who plays him, always does a great job. Same with everyone else. Jack, it's Johnny Depp, obviously, and then the new characters played their parts well too, so nothing to complain about on the acting side. The story, I'd say it like a 7, I guess, because it's the same pirate story, but it's still enjoyable. It's, we all need to go after this one thing, but we have different reasons for it, so let's do it. I will say there's not as much betraying going on in this movie, which is nice, but it is good, and there's nice fan service in this movie. If you've been watching since the beginning, with obviously you see some Will stuff again, but there's something that's really cool that I can't really talk. I'll talk more about in the spoilers. I was like, yes, finally, it's nice to see it. Everything else is just a solid Pirates movie, is what you could say. Nothing crazy good about it and nothing bad about it. So I'm going to give it I think I'm going to go 8 out of 10 is my score for Pirates of the Caribbean. And I will say, if you like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the other ones, go and watch this movie. That's my review, my score on Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm going to get into spoilers talking now, where I'm going to go more in depth about why I gave some scores, like certain events that made me say this, or the cool thing I talked about with the fan service. And so if you want to keep watching and you don't care about spoilers, or you've seen it already, just don't click off and we'll keep going. If you want to leave now, leave now. I'll give you 10 seconds. 10. Okay, welcome to the spoilers section. Oh, neighbor blaring music. Say boom, 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 boom. Say, okay, so spoilers. Let's get started with what I was saying. The fan service I was talking about was the Black Pearl is back in this movie. It is not theirs in the beginning, as it's still stuck in a jar, if you remember, from On Stranger Tides. But they get it out of the jar, it grows to full size, and we get to see the Black Pearl back in its glory with Jack and Barbosa on it, and that was great. Oh, man. The Black Pearl is one of the better parts of the movie, and you get to see it again is a nice touch. There's an after credit scene I'll talk about, but I think there's a couple things I'll talk about first. Though the first scene was very, very unrealistic. It was very Fast and the Furious like, which kind of drew away from the realism. It was more of started to turn more to like a shut your brain off movie, which happens. I mean, there's a lot of movies like that. Fast and Furious is an example. Like, you're not watching that for the plot, you're watching it for the action and the humor. So Pirates are kind of just watching for the journey and the wit and all that stuff. But in this case, they dragged an entire bank building off the tangents or whatever, and just dragged it all the way to a harbor with like 5 horses. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is very unrealistic, still fun though, and that's kind of how you felt kind of throughout certain parts of the movie. But that's to be expected with this, and it's obviously dubs with fantasy and pirate mythology, but that was just kind of like a crazy thing that kind of is like just there for Phil, I guess, because they wanted to have some fun with it. Didn't really add anything to the story. There were some jokes the jokes were all pretty good. I'd say I didn't find any of them not that funny. They had some more sexual jokes, I'd say, in this one about balls and stuff like that. It's out of context, it sounds weird, yeah, but it's involving cannonballs, stuff like that, tying it all together. So you see more jokes like that in this movie. Horology, I think, was one of them. There's a joke about that. And so, obviously, it's funny. I mean, for the kids, I'm not going to be like, don't take it, because your kids are going to be like, I'm scarred for life. They just won't get some of the jokes. That's all it is. Everything else, I liked how the direction it went. Barbossa was probably one of my favorite characters in this movie. This is the second movie in a row that I've reviewed where someone dies in the end, a father figure, believe it or not. In Guardians, won't even spoil. I guess that is a spoiler. Someone dies in the head of Guardians. I won't say it, but in Pirates of the Caribbean, as you know already, or you don't know if you don't care, Barbossa dies in the end, and this is before we find out that the astronomist who got the book has been like reading through it and learning astrology her whole life, because it's like her father's gift to her is Barbossa. Barbossa's her father, and she got her the book because he thought it looked cool with the ruby on it, and he just dropped it with her at the orphanage. He dropped her off that because he couldn't handle raising her. And so we find out about that because Jack finds out and confronts Barbossa, and Barbossa tells him about it. But the girl never finds out until the very end, when Barbossa sacrificed himself to save Henry, her, and Jack from dying at the end, when they get, because the Poseidon's trident, they use the stars, it's a map, and so it's kind of a cool, the way they did it. It was a cool movie, I'd say, with all the pirate stuff. Still felt like a Pirates movie. Had everything I loved about it. And so the trident was underwater, and then like the sea got parted, and so they grabbed it, and then they broke it to undo all the curses, and so the waters kept crashed back down. And so obviously when the curse was broken, the dead men, I guess is what I call them, Captain Salazar and his crew, were human again, so they could walk on air. So they got out of the water to get to the land because they were suffocating in the water. But then the water kind of caved down, and so there was a mad dash to get back up, and they were steering the Black Pearl with the anchor, and Jack, Henry, and the astronomer got on it to get away, and well, the dead man Salazar and his crew tagged along too, trying to get out. Salazar was really cool in this movie. They gave the backstory, and they showed him how he terrorized other pirates, and he had to deal with Barbossa at first, but obviously in pirate fashion, Barbossa double-crossed them and decided to work with Jack to get it, and so they could have leverage. And yes, so Barbossa does die in this one, which sucks. But it wasn't. I wasn't like, there was no need for this. I was like, it fit the story as a cool moment. Sad but cool moment. Obviously, it's how most deaths in movies are. And then, so that's kind of, it ends with that, and they're all back, and they're figuring it all out. And it ends with Henry and the girl, the astronomer, end up getting together, and then it shows him reuniting with Will and Elizabeth. Elizabeth shows up at the towards the very end, and you see her and Will embrace each other again as they're back together, as Will's curse is broken. But that's not the only curse is broken, as we find out, as there's a sequel set up in the after credit scene. The Pirates movies have after credit scenes, so I stayed for it. And this time it was Davy Jones showed up in Will and Elizabeth's bedroom. And so that means the curse is managed to bring Davy Jones back to life. And so I'm guessing he might be coming for vengeance or something, which does mean there's potential for more Pirates movies. I thought they marketed this as this was the last one, but they really set it up. They didn't set it up like the last one. It's like, it could be the last one and you'd be fine with it, because, I mean, obviously Will and Elizabeth got to be reunited and stuff. But that scene and some of the other stuff, it leaves you like, you want some more. And then ended with Jack back in the sea. And so, your typical Pirates movie. Nothing like, dang, that's the best Pirates movie. It's definitely not the best Pirates movie. If I had to rank it, it'd be better than Stranger Tides for sure. Maybe better than the third one at World's End. But obviously, Curse of the Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest are the best two. And that's some of the spoiler stuff in this movie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't seen Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales yet, make sure to go and see it. This is K-May Preston. Oh, remember, 8 out of 10 on this review. The next review will be Wonder Woman, and that'll be coming out soon. This is KMA Preston signing out. See you later.